lucky to be sitting next to Geert Pick, who is the head of sales in UK for Sopra Banking Software. And Geert was at a panel on core banking, the next generation of core banking systems. And some of the key highlights were how the entire system is changing, and we have now a new idea of what next generation means for the industry. So maybe Geert, you would like to share with us a few of those key pointers that were made during the panel.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's important for organizations to compete at the customer experience level. So in this day and age, people get such great journeys from organizations like an AWS, from a Netflix, and the customer experience they experience on that side. They expect something similar in their financial services life. So it's paramount for organizations to go compete at the customer experience level, which means that if you're a large bank or if you're a financial services organization, you can't expect to have the same type of business processes and the same customer experience when you do an unsecured loan, which is really quite a simple and quick transaction, versus a mortgage or versus a commercial loan, right? So you need to adapt the pace of your organization towards whatever the customer experience and whatever the service that you provide is. So you see financial services to the public move from large banks, universal banks that provided everything, into smaller micro services, not just micro solutions, but micro services where you say, as a consumer, I use one app for my international travel, I use another app for my current account, I use something else for my mortgage, and people build their own financial lives across different apps and across different services. So I think it's important for organizations to start competing at that level. How do I treat someone who does an unsecured loan differently to a mortgage, differently to a savings account? So that's definitely what we see, and as an organization we're definitely focused towards that as well. So focus on the business capabilities you need for that specific journey. So you come up with a business capability catalog as a result, and then organizations can choose, yes, I provide these services to the market, and therefore I collaborate with a core banking system or microservices from that perspective.
Absolutely, yes. And one of the key pointers that were made is that just how the industry is becoming modular and flexible, and as you rightly pointed out, relying on all these different microservices. But I remember you mentioning how they are increasingly becoming microsolutions rather than microservices. Why so?
Well, you see it with a lot of the fintechs coming on, right? So these fintechs are typically set up by people who come out of the industry and did a specific business process for a bank. So they were excellent at vehicle finance or excellent at asset finance or mortgages, and they say, you know what, we can do it better than that big bank could do it. So they start to compete and they start to bring these services to market. And because the general public is okay in adopting the digital way of doing business, they say, you know what, in my credit card, I don't need a bank, I need nothing else but an app and a card, and that's how I use my credit card, and I'll take the credit card based on whatever works best for me. And that is completely not tied to my current account, it's completely not tied to my mortgage. So because these new entrants come in, and you can ask who came in first, is it chicken or egg? Did the solution come in first or the technology come in first? That's now a moot point because the solutions are out there. So you need to have point-to-point solutions or business process capable solutions that support one specific value case for a client. And as opposed to in the past you were a universal bank and you sold people 5 to 10 different services, you now need to compete at every individual services. Just being good at current accounts isn't good enough anymore.
Definitely. And in all this, we also have to take into account the customer, who's really the one who's leading this change and is driving the entire transformation. So in this context, what are some of the areas that Sopra Banking is focusing on now, and what are some of the top priorities for the next few months?
Yeah, and continuing on the previous point is you don't want all the micro solutions that make you a lot of money to fall away, and then banking in the UK is free of charge. People get a current account for free. So you don't want the value adding services to fall off and you're left with whatever's left behind, right? So we're focusing on how do we enable organizations to make money out of those specific services. So we help them build customer experiences that it's a Venn diagram on the left side. What does the customer want out of a digital service in this day and age? And how does a bank or financial services organization make money on the other side? And we try to build solutions that sit in the middle of that Venn diagram to say, okay, we can provide something that has a better CX, that has a better business process management behind it, because we employ people who understand this business and giving you the tools to take a solution like that to market. So for us, it's really important to understand the business process, understand the entire end-to-end journey, and we build solutions on a continuous integration cycle, continuous delivery, that allow people to adopt that and perpetually improve their journey that they bring their clients on.
Sounds great. Well, thank you very much, Geert, and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.